So we never just look at one symptom, we always want to take a look at the whole person. So the physical, the mental, the emotional. I always say I want to know everything between poop and dreams and everything else in between, and I really mean that.
Welcome to the Healing Cancer in this century, and as I said many times, the reason I call it in this century because I am bringing health practitioners who are bringing new ways to approach healing in general. And today's speaker is one of them. Our next speaker has been named one of the best homeopathic practitioners in California. This is a reason I came to her. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Nutrition, Master in Homeopathy, Diploma in Homeopathy, Homeopathic Master Clinician, and is certified Bach Flowers Consultant. This is very interesting. We'd like to know a little more about that. She's a teacher and has been on TV and radio and has written many articles. She is the director and co-founder of the Los Angeles School of Homeopathy. Director, founder of Center of Life. This is a place where I started practicing Reiki many years ago. Integrative Healing Center, director and founder of the Center of Life, Integrative Healing Center, and has been in practice since 1995. Her passion is treating children on the autism spectrum and people with cancer. Please welcome to this rare and interesting interview, more than interesting, Avghi Constantinides. Did I pronounce it right?
You did. Hi, Carlos.
Hello, Avghi. It's a pleasure to be with you again. You remember when I started practicing Reiki for free with the cancer patients at the clinic. And I remember one day that you told me, one of your clients told me that after your Reiki sessions, they didn't have any more pain. To me, I didn't understand what was happening, but then I learned that. But we are here today to talk about you. But I remember, it's a good memory. I have about 200 questions for you.
Okay.
And the first one is why you decided to learn and practice homeopathy?
That's a good question. My path of how I came to homeopathy is a little different from other people. Most people come to perhaps a place of what they practice is because it worked for them or they experienced it. And in my case, that's not true. I came to it because I'm actually originally from England, from London. And then from there, I went to live in South Africa for a couple of years and I lived in the bush, in the jungle. And while I was living there, I wanted to go and experience what the local people do when they don't feel well. So I went to see a local tribesman that's kind of like a healer. So that's what I did, because I was just intrigued. I was living in this beautiful place that grew fresh fruits and vegetables, and the air is clean, and you could swim in the rivers. It was just utopia. And when I was visiting this tribe's kind of healer gentleman, I had to have someone come with me because I didn't speak his language. There are many different languages in South Africa, and it was really off of a dirt road, off of a dirt road, off of a dirt road. It was really deep into the jungle. And, he kind of gave me some ideas and suggestions. I didn't really have anything wrong with me. I was just intrigued. And when we finished our session, we came outside of his little mud hut, because that's what it was, his home in the middle of the bush. And we were standing around something called a boma, which is kind of a fence that's built in a circle, and there's a fireplace in the middle. And this is where the locals would actually cook their meals to keep the animals out. Actually, that's why there's this round fence. So I was standing with his wife that actually spoke English, and we were standing there and we were just kind of like looking over the vista in this beautiful jungle area. And I had an epiphany. And the epiphany was, there are things in Mother Nature that can help heal all ails. And that was my zing, that was my, wow, really? Where did that come from? And that stayed with me. And then I came to the States, and funny enough, I ended up working with a pharmaceutical company when I first came here.
No.
Strange. But this company also had a sideline of combination homeopathic remedies. And the remedies were working for people, and I didn't know what these were, and people would ask me, well, how does this work? What is in here? I'd like look at the labels. I have no idea. It's all Latin, numbers, letters. I had no idea. So now I'm intrigued about this medicine. So my first door opening was in Africa, and now I've walked through the door, and now this medicine has come my way. So I decide to go and investigate this, and I hear about an open house. So I decided to go to this open house, and the person that was speaking there that day was Trevor Cook, and Trevor Cook used to be the head pharmacist, the head homeopathic pharmacist to the Queen. And he really blew me away with his talk, and that was it for me. I was there. I wanted to learn everything about this medicine. I wanted to understand it, and it's been my journey ever since, because I never stopped learning. So really that's kind of my pathway into homeopathy and into alternative medicine.
Well, this is a fascinating and beautiful story. I'm glad that I asked you. I never knew that.
Never knew, yeah.
You have to put it in your website. This is really incredible.
Yeah.
Because it speaks the way that you start trying to help people. It's not just because you can make money or you can have a status. This is great. I love it. And tell us a little bit about the history of homeopathy. I know that was developed by a German doctor, and that's all I know.
Yes. So over 200 years ago, there was a physician called Samuel Hahnemann. Mm-hmm. And at the time when he was a medical doctor, the methods of treatment were actually he saw that they were more harmful to his patients than they were helpful. So he had just had enough, and he decided to stop practicing medicine. That was it for him. I'm just going to stop. He was a very, very intelligent man, spoke many different languages. So then he started to become a translator just to make money. He had many children, so he still had to bring in income. And he translated a book from one language into another, and this book was on a herb called Cinchona officinalis. And when he started to translate the book, he realized that these are very, very similar symptoms to malaria. So he decided, what would happen if I took some of this herb? So he did. He took the raw herb, and he actually got quite ill. And the symptoms that he got were very similar to malaria. So he said, this is too strong, I can't do it. What about if I dilute it in water? Let me dilute it in water. So he got some of the symptoms, they weren't as strong. So then his philosophy was, and this is how he came up with, what if I have a patient that has malaria, and I give them this remedy called Cinchona officinalis, but not in its raw state, not in the herb state. That's too strong, it could cause harm. Let me dilute it in water. So he did that, and he found that it was helping patients. A little bit further along the line, he realized that when he would actually go and visit his patients, rather than them come to him, the medicines that he was using worked better, and he couldn't figure out why, and it took him a while. He had a horse and cart over cobblestone. So as he's going along in the cobblestone, and he's got the remedies in the horse and cart, it starts to what we call today succussion. So it's kind of agitating it and shaking it up and down. So today we don't only just dilute the remedies in liquid, we also succuss them, and that's actually what brings the magic out of the raw substance itself. Does that make any sense?
No, yes, makes sense. And the other thing that I understand, there are different dissolutions, like the 10C, I don't remember, the different numbers. There are some that are more diluted and they have more energetic effects. How does it work? I don't remember that.
That's a great question. So yes, the more we dilute and succuss, the more powerful that remedy is. Now for people, they're like, this is where the mind bender happens. And I have to say, it's kind of like on a Richter scale, when you think about an earthquake, just 1 point up, its magnitudes, it's very, very large. So the same with the remedy. So you have that original thumbprint, let's say it's Cinchona officinalis, that herb, and we mix that, we dilute it in water and we succuss. And then we take another test tube and we put one part of that into the second test tube, and now we succuss that one. Now we've made a 2C. Let's get the third test tube. Dilute it, succuss. Now we've made a 3C. so on and so forth. So you know that we use a 12C, a 30C, a 200C. C is Roman numerals, so that means it's been diluted by 100, 10 parts, 99 parts of liquid and 1 part of the actual substance. And then the X potencies are diluted by 9 and 1 part, so it's by 10. We also have dilutions of 1,000 and 50,000.
Once I asked another health practitioner about homeopathy, she works with that, and she told me that homeopathy is an energy information remedy. So is there what does this homeopathic remedy do in our bodies? Because with that dilution is so little, but what is it why we get better?
Why does it work?
What does it work, yeah.
There's many different facets to that answer, so I'm going to start with, we always treat with the whole. So if someone comes in for a headache, not only do I need to know about the head pain, where the head pain is, where is it located, what does it feel like for them, what makes it better, what makes it worse, all of those things. But how long have you had the headache? The headache started about 3 years ago. Well, tell me what happened 3 years ago. I got a divorce. Or my dog died. Or there's usually a point of something, I've never been well since. So we always have to look at that. So with Western medicine, they would just give you a pain pill for the headache. It would alleviate it at that time, but the headaches would still keep on reoccurring. With homeopathy, we seek to be more curative. So if we go back and we find out the why behind things are there, and most of the time we can, you have to look at that. So we would have to look at the grief or the loss or whatever it is and go forward from there with looking at the headache as well. So we never just look at one symptom. We always want to take a look at the whole person. So the physical, the mental, the emotional. I always say I want to know everything between poop and dreams and everything else in between, and I really mean that. And why the remedies work so well. I have to match a remedy to how someone is thinking, feeling, physically what is going on with them. So it's sort of like making a remedy just for you. Like if you had a suit made for you, it's tailor-made and it fits Carlos just right. It's not going to fit anybody else. That's what we do with homeopathic remedies. We want to find a remedy that is going to fit you just right, and it's going to be similar to who you are, and that's kind of what ignites the whole system that reacts to the homeopathic remedy. So not only does it work on the physical realm, but it also works on the mental and the emotional. So we're talking about the psyche. It goes a lot deeper past the physical realm of somebody. And we find the higher we go in potency, the higher the frequency is, sometimes the better it is to reach those deep, dark depths of somebody. Because often emotionally we can shove things down, we'll close that door inside, we'll kind of lock it and throw away that key, like the deep dungeons is kind of what I call them. Well, the keys are the homeopathic remedies, because the body always wants to heal itself, so things need to come up and out. You can't always keep things stuffed down inside and expect it to get better. You've really got to deal with some of your old stuff. So it needs to be healed, come up and out.
Well, I don't think that the homeopathic remedy for Carlos has been ever invented yet.
Well, there's over 5,000 choices for me.
No, I'm not there.
Okay, all right.
However, what is very enlightening, what you said, is that homeopathy goes to the root cause of the problem. You said that you want to know what happened 4 years ago.
Yes.
It's an emotional trauma. It was somebody who died, or a divorce, or a bad relationship, or it could be somebody hit the head, and this trauma is a physical, but also it's emotional and mental, is there. So you go to the root cause.
Yeah, even back to childhood.
Oh, this is incredible. Yeah. Yeah, I remember I used to use homeopathy when I was a teenager or younger. And what I remember is that the honesty of that doctor. I was a teacher in a high school, and I didn't feel well for a couple of days or several days. So I went to see him, And he was ideology, so he can
Okay.
see the state of my internal organs. And he looked at me, said, "You don't have anything. Just go back to work." He didn't give me anything. So I learned that homeopathy, at least those doctors are honest. Because I said, I need to justify I didn't go to work today. You don't have anything, go back. And you know what? 2 or 3 days later, I felt good.
Okay.
So that's great. I appreciate that. So it's very enlightening. I remember in another situation, my son had an autoimmune disease, very strong. He was ended up in the emergency room, and we found a homeopathic doctor in India who told us to send a picture of him. He was swollen because he couldn't urinate, and he was able to send the remedies just with that. How does it work? He asked us questions too.
He asks you a lot of questions too. Yeah, I mean, I always like to see people in person, and I do some Skype appointments if needed. You know, I really need to get to know a person. I really need to see how they are. So when someone comes into my office, I take note where they sit. They have a choice to sit close to me. They can sit farther away from me. You know, are they going to sit like this? Are they going to be more open? And the words that they choose to say and how they say those words. So all of those little things is very, very important to me, because I'm like Sherlock Holmes. I don't want to leave any stone unturned. So when it comes to people who have cancer, I have found that sometimes they take on this persona of cancer. And they've lost their personality. They become a cancer patient. They're not them anymore. And this is how they'll introduce themselves. Hi, you know, I have breast cancer. I'm stage 4.
Oh my God.
So it just becomes this persona. So it's also looking at that and treating that, but also finding out who they were before all of that happened to them, whatever it might be. There are some people who are very specific and say, well, listen, I just want you to treat, you know, just make the headaches go away. That's all I need. And I'll say, but it's, you know, I need to know about the rest of you too.
So this is very important what you said, because the cancer patient or other people, they acquire this personality that doesn't belong to them. And have you seen that when they go to a doctor and a doctor tells them, you have cancer, you have so many months to live, what happened with them?
Wow, it's, you know, it's really sad. I have seen this in the living flesh where someone came to me. It was actually not in the office. I met it outside in the world, and it was in a business arena. And she looked terrible. She looked really awful. She looked very, very ill. She was kind of grey. And I said, you know, how are you? You know, are you okay? And she said, you know, I've just been diagnosed with cancer. And she was just devastated. And I felt for her. And then the next month at the same meeting, she looked fabulous and looked really great. And she was not great, and she was just vibrant. And I said, how are you doing? She said, you know what? They misdiagnosed me. I feel great. This is so wonderful.
Oh my God.
So that to me is just words. Those are words that someone heard and thought that this is what was going to happen to them. Unfortunately, the following month, she was back to the grey state again, because they said they misdiagnosed again. And she really did have cancer. But it just showed me how powerful words are. Now, my own mother has been diagnosed with cancer. And 2.5 years ago, they gave her 1.5 years to live. And she did, like most people, I mean, there's many stages that people go through. It's kind of like grief. You get angry, you're upset, you know. And she has mesothelioma, which is from asbestos, and there really isn't any great treatment for that. At the end of the day, sadly, this is actually what's going to get her. She did 1 round of chemo, and they really didn't know what to do with her because of the type of where the cancer is. They actually don't know. She's 1 in 5 million. And I am treating her. And now they tell us that the cancer is still there, but it's not as prominent as it was before. And she's doing well. I mean, even the doctors can't believe, because they really don't know what to do with her, because she has such a rare cancer. And they say, whatever you're doing, just carry on doing, you know. And she does tell them, well, my daughter is a homeopath and she's been treating me. And they little bit poo-poo it, you know. She does live in England, and even though it's very well known in England, but this cancer doctor was like, well, if it's working, it's working, you know. So
that means that people with cancer, they can go on with life. The cancer may be there, but they can function in a good way, like your mother.
It depends what type of cancer it is. There are so many different variations in how it will attack the body and what part of the body it is in. But for me as a homeopath, when I treat someone, it's always really looking at the whole and kind of giving them hope in their own life. Not that I'm, you know, I would never ever use the word cure. That's a very bad word for anyone to use. But I will 100% do my best to help them, whether they're doing Western medicine treatments and they just want me to help them with the side effects of the chemo and or radiation, which we can do with homeopathy very successfully. There are some patients that actually opt for some kind of surgery, perhaps, to have it removed and then do homeopathy afterwards. I have studied with one particular Indian doctor who has flown out to the US a couple of times, and he has done many clinical trials on cancer and homeopathy. He is a medical doctor in India, and his success rate with treating with homeopathy in different types of cancers.
All right, so homeopathy is a good complementary therapy for cancer patients.
Very much so. It doesn't interact with the Western medicine at all. There is no contraindications with Western medicine either, whether it's chemo, other medications that they might be on, and it can also help with the side effects. So often people want to do both at the same time. For me as a practitioner, I will always support the patient 100%. It is not my choice to tell them what to do. It is my job to help them where they're at.
Avghi, this is very enlightening, because in the 23 years working on the integrative cancer treatment that is down the street, that's the reason I met her about, 5-6 years ago, I didn't see the doctors offering complementary services until, do you remember, I created a group of practitioners and some of them came here. But this is very important because it's not just bringing you hope, it's bringing you solutions to complement whatever treatment you are doing.
Right.
And it's great to know that they can use whatever treatment, either conventional medicine, integrative, alternative, and homeopathy to incorporate. Yeah. I believe that healing any kind of condition is a holistic process. They have to see what resonates with them. It could be nutrition, exercise, it could be energy healing, acupuncture, homeopathy, and you need to investigate. I see that the stories that you have just shared with us, or maybe I will ask you actually, what do you think, let's say that a friend comes to you and say, I have this condition. Would you tell them, let's say that you are not the primary, you don't do the primary therapy that this person needs? Do you think that is good enough to go to the primary care doctor and that's it? Or they should feel what is it good for them and investigate a little more to empower people to be in charge of their own health?
Oh my goodness, I want to scream from the rooftops.
Go ahead, no problem.
You know, I am all about bridging the gap between alternative medicine and Western medicine. I don't feel that it should be separate. I feel that we should be together. I'm always open. My door is always open, and I say to all of my patients, my phone lines are open. Your medical doctor can give me a call anytime and ask me questions. In 20 years, I have never gotten one phone call. And I always find that the doctors, the Western doctors, I call them allopaths, that are more open, are the ones that actually have a better relationship with their patients. I don't feel that it should be just one person. I feel that a person that has a healthcare team is going to do better in their own healthcare. So a few years ago, I created a wellness program at the office here, which has a primary care physician, it has an acupuncturist, it has a hypnotherapist, it has a body worker, and it has me, the homeopath. There are 5 practitioners. And it was it's sort of a little bit selfish. I created it is because it's where I wanted to see my own healthcare. I wanted an MD in my back pocket. I wanted an acupuncturist in my back pocket. I wanted my homeopath in my back pocket. I wanted a healthcare team, you know. So I would encourage everyone to find out find your own healthcare team. It's very hard to find them in one place, actually. You know, we have it here, but you know, we're just a small office, but you can go and find your own healthcare team, whether it's, you know, I highly suggest body work, I highly suggest acupuncture, I highly suggest nutrition. Nutrition is a big one, really, really big. You need a medical doctor. You need that doctor to do all the different testing and all the different diagnoses, because when they get it right, they're really good at it. And then when they give you solutions, you can have choices. They can say, okay, there's this medicine and there's this and there's this. These are your choices. Well, that's the choices from the allopath. Now you can actually go to somebody else, to your acupuncturist, to your body worker, you know, to all these different types of practitioners, whoever you wish to choose to have in your life, Reiki, energy work done, because I feel that all of these can help. And if you're talking about you and your own healthcare, why wouldn't we do this?
Exactly.
No disrespect to the medical field. I think that they have made many advances, and I really do like a lot of their diagnostic tools when they get it right. But because they wear a white coat, it does not make them better than you and I. They just have different information. They really, really do. They have different information that I know, and I have different information to what that's why my patients come to me.
Exactly.
But I am not better than them. You know, I am definitely on the same level of all my patients. And I really feel that, especially with children, because I do treat a lot of children in the office, you know, it's the parents that are in charge of their child's healthcare. And sometimes doctors make them feel that they're not in charge. And that's kind of sad. You know, I have to remind parents that you are in charge of your child's own healthcare, and you can do whatever you wish and what you think is best for your child. Whatever that may be, and I will support you 100%, whether it's this way, that way, this way. I'm going to be there for you and your child, because that's not my decision to make.
So remember, you need, at the end of the day, we are responsible of our health. We need to take charge of our health and not leave our health on the hands of one person, because health is a holistic process, as Avghi just said. All right. Tell me, Avghi, a little bit the history of homeopathy in the U.S. When people start practicing, you told me something about an organization that was founded a long time ago, a little bit.
Yes. Yes, homeopathy was actually widely used in the US. Most of the practitioners were actually medical doctors in the early 20th century. 19th century, sorry, in the 19th century. And they were the first ones to start a homeopathic, a medical organization in the United States, which is the Homeopathic Medical Association in the United States. And the AMA actually started 2 years later. And the reason why the AMA decided to start their separate organization was because they were unhappy with the homeopathic medical doctors.
Because it was working.
Because it was working, they were helping their patients, plus the medicines that they give don't cost a lot of money. And they said, you know, you need to stop this. You need to stop giving these medicines. Also, the pharmaceutical companies had a hand in this, because now they're not prescribing Western medicine. And the remedies today are still very inexpensive. They're about $7, $8. And they said, no, so we're going to start our own group over here, and you have to stop practicing homeopathy, otherwise we're not going to let you in our group, and then you won't be able to practice Western medicine either. So they kind of put it was kind of squashed down in the early 1920s in the US. They closed most of the schools here in the US. There was many schools here. There is still a hospital on the East Coast called the Hahnemann Hospital. It's in Pennsylvania. They still have kept the name. It is a Western hospital. No one knows who Hahnemann is, I'm sure, who's practicing at that hospital. But it was opened over 200 years ago when homeopathy came to the United States. So that's one of the reasons why homeopathy is not widely used here. It didn't grow like it did in the rest of the world. But back in, say, the 1970s, there was actually a Greek homeopath called George Vithoulkas that was invited over by a bunch of different medical doctors up in Northern California and San Francisco to come and teach them homeopathy. And this is slowly but surely how homeopathy started to grow again. And that group of physicians, who were all medical doctors, don't practice Western medicine anymore. They only practice homeopathy. And they let in one other person into their group that wasn't a medical doctor. So, and this is how kind of homeopathy came back. And that one person that's not an MD was Louis Klein. And Louis Klein and I are the ones that co-founded the LA School of Homeopathy. So Lou has been doing homeopathy for a really long time. Yeah.
All right. We are going to go back to your school.
Yes.
You remind me something. When I was in my 20s, I had two friends, MDs in Argentina, who, when they saw the great results that they were having with homeopathy, and they also study ideology, so they left the conventional practice and they practiced just homeopathy. And they had a thriving and very large practice, just with that. So in Argentina, and the other doctor that sent me back, because I felt bad and he looked at me and I didn't have anything, they were a father and son MDs that didn't practice anything of conventional or allopathic medicine. It's all homeopathy. So there are many doctors that, at least back in my country, that they realize how homeopathy can help people, and they left the conventional practice.
Yeah, I mean, Constantine Herring was the American that brought homeopathy here, but he went out to prove homeopathy wrong. He was given that job to say, this is, it doesn't work. So he went and investigated and did all the research and study, and he said, but I can't say that. This actually does work. Wow. This is amazing. And he became one of the very well-known homeopaths here in the US, was Constantine Herring.
Well, I am gladly surprised of his honesty and integrity.
Yeah.
That was great.
And there's a lot of medical doctors that do that. They go out and they want to disprove it, and this doesn't work, and this is silly medicine, and there's nothing to it. And a lot of the medical doctors that do end up being homeopaths themselves.
Yes, there is a book, I don't remember the name, it's very well known. This doctor was sent to South America to prove that eating meat is good for the health. And after investigating, the China study. And he went to China too, and he discovered the opposite. And he published the book. It was very interesting. Avghi, tell me a little bit about your homeopathy school. When did you start, in 1995, was it?
No, I'm sorry. The school that I started, yes, I started it in 2003.
2003.
Yeah, the school I went to unfortunately kind of disbanded and was no longer around. And I said to my colleague Lou Klein, or my mentor, he was teaching a course in LA, and I said, wow, Lou, there's just no place to go and study homeopathy, like to get that good foundation. So someone could go and take his course or go off and do other courses, but you kind of need to have the understanding, the philosophy, the history, the background of homeopathy. And he said, yeah. He said, well, why don't we start a school together?
Wow, that was great.
And I really didn't feel that I had enough information at that time for myself. I'd only been practicing about 7 or 8 years at that point. And I would never have done it without him, who had like 30 years. So we did it together, but I do run the school, but he does still have an input, and he still comes to teach for us. Lou doesn't actually live in the United States.
Wow.
He lives in Canada, and he teaches all over the world. He teaches a postgraduate course. So when my students graduate from my school, which is a 3-year program, they can go off and do other programs with other people, but we really give people that solid foundation, like really build it very, very well, so then they can go off and be practicing homeopaths.
Do you see that the school is growing? You have more students every year. How is it going?
Yes, it's kind of funny, when the economical situation happened in 2008, our increase of students went up. I think people kind of saw that perhaps they're so unhappy in what they're doing. People wanted to add it into their own practices. We do have nurses, medical doctors, chiropractors, acupuncturists, massage therapists, all different types. We also have school teachers, stay-at-home mothers, rocket scientists, engineers. I mean, all different types of background that come to homeopathy.
Engineer, maybe homeopathy is for me. I am an engineer.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That's great. Does homeopathy have any side effects?
That's such a great question. I love that question. No, homeopathy actually has no side effects at all. It is non-toxic, it is not harmful to you, and it's not addictive either. And you can actually look on the CDC government website of the United States, and it will list there homeopathy has no known side effects.
Avghi, when I was about 24, I wanted to gain weight and start eating fat things. I was vegetarian, but I was eating provolone cheese and things I thought I was going to gain weight. What I did, overload my liver and have hepatitis.
Oh.
So I was laying down on bed, and after a week or two, one of my friends, homeopathic MDs who were practicing homeopathy, came to see me. I was on my bed laying like that, and said, okay, Carlos, take these 2 drops, and tomorrow you can start exercising again. Do you know when you have hepatitis, the liver is like a fragile, it can break or something, you can injure your liver. So that's why in the conventional treatment you have to lay down on bed for many, many weeks, at least when I was a kid, when I was in my 20s. So the next day, I start taking those drops. They come in alcohol, right?
Yeah,
the
drops. Can, yeah.
Yes, back in Argentina, we didn't know the pellets with the sugar. And I started exercising again, and my hepatitis went away. I never, ever had a problem again in my life.
Wow. Do you know what he gave you?
No.
I think I know what he gave you.
Okay, maybe if you tell me,
tell me
something, let's see if I remember.
Lycopodium clavatum?
Yes, I remember lycopodium. I remember that, yes.
Okay.
And
it's a big liver remedy, that's why I was thinking of it.
I remember that, yes, definitely. So
good homeopath.
Yes, exactly. And that blew my mind, because instead of being on bed for several weeks, I was teaching in a secondary or high school, so I came back to work very quickly. And I have this detox process, sweating for days, but recover so quickly, it was fantastic.
That's wonderful.
I never had problems with my liver again. I can eat chocolates and all the good things of life.
Good, good.
You already talked about that, but I need to emphasize that, because I believe that it's very, very important to treat a person for who they are. So all this personality, I am repeating this because the homeopathic treatment is personalized. It's really personalized, and you're not going to get the same set of remedies for the same symptom because you're different.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is very, very important. As you know, we are all different. Every human being in this planet is different. Even twins will get different remedies, right?
Yeah.
This is very important. If you could give a tip or exercise or something that people can do in our audience, they can start applying right now to feel better, to improve their health, to speed up their self-healing journey.
Yeah.
You can think, what would you tell them?
Yeah. I mean, out of all my background and what I learned through homeopathy, nutrition, bark flowers, I actually studied iridology, which I love. I don't really practice though, but I love iridology. Even I studied reflexology. I mean, I just wanted to get my hands on so many things when I first started out. I think when it comes to people that have got cancer in their body, that nutrition is number one. I'm a little bit of a stickler. When someone comes to me, I will ask them about their diet, especially when it comes to cancer, because you cannot take chances. You really, really need to take care of yourself, and I think that starts from within outwards. So food is medicine, whether we want to believe it or not, and if you're eating the junk, that's what you're putting into your body. So, start with water. You've got to increase your water because most of us do not drink enough water. And you need to eat clean, really good, healthy foods. And that just means, for me, it's funny, I do love nutrition. I don't practice it too much in my practice. But when I hear about all these different nutrition books that are coming out, I'm always interested in them. And then I think, that's my philosophy that I've had for years and years, and I could tell you in 2 sentences without going to buy a book. And what it is 3 things. Proteins, fruits, and vegetables. And that's it.
So that means that we can promote my green smoothie.
We can promote your green smoothie. And obviously the cleaner foods. So when you go to the supermarket, forget about everything in the aisles, because that is junk. Everything that comes out of a box or a packet is pretty much junk, except for the legumes. I mean, they're in a packet, but all the stuff around the circumference of the supermarket, the fruits, the vegetables, the plants, the proteins, that's what you want to stay to. And forget about everything in a box or down the aisle.
This is fruits and greens, and I have 2 of these every day, and keeps me happy, clean, and energized. That's great. Yes, nutrition is important. Avghi,
and look at you, you're just glowing.
Thank you. Well, I meditate every day, I exercise every day, and doing energy healing, as you know, we feel the energy goes through us. And actually, when people leave an energy healing session like Reiki, they are glowing. And talking with you is very energizing too. So you are helping that I am looking well. Oh, no. This is this synergy, this energy.
The synergy, you're right. Yeah. I just want to make one other point too about finding your healthcare team. If you go to a medical doctor and he's really not on the same path as you, go find somebody else. Do not stick with someone that you don't feel comfortable with. It's really not good. And I encourage people to call people, to ask lots of questions. I get a lot of phone calls myself. People ask me questions and I said, I think that's great. Do your due diligence. Call lots of people. I'll even give you names and numbers of other homeopaths in town. Like, call them up and make sure that that you feel comfortable with the person that you're going to be treated by. I think it does help to have a nice rapport with that person, because the patient themselves will be more open to the practitioner.
Avghi, what you said is crucial, because one of the things that I'm going to insist on this online conference is that you need to connect with the practitioner. And this is what we do that. You have to feel if what he or she says is not just the words, but you can see the expression and you are going to be connected with that. So maybe you are on another state, you cannot come and see Avghi, but you can look to another homeopathic doctors. It's very, very important what you said. I have a Reiki client who went through a very difficult situation with his heart, and they have to do this electric shock to regularize the beat. So after that, we are helping him in his healing process with a friend who does nutrition, especially supplements. And he told this client of mine, you need to look for another cardiologist. This man is stuffing you with medications. And he fell. He told me, I have all these medications. We tested with a pendulum, with how is it called? The
dowsing? Kinesiology?
Kinesiology. And all these medications were making him feel worse. And he found an incredible cardiologist who is a natural or cardiologist. And this woman is going to be one of our speakers too, because I knew. But he knew that the relationship with this doctor wasn't doing any good for him. And he was sticking with him for too long, until one day I said, I need to try something else. So it's good. What Avghi just said is crucial. You need to connect. Not just your primary doctor is somebody up there that you are going to listen to whatever he said. You have the right of your own health. This was very, very important. You mentioned ideology. Why don't you tell our audience what is that? Because I love that. I love that because knowing that nobody can lie to you, right?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. You know, I got to study with Ellen Tart Jensen that studied with Bernard Jensen, and she's actually married to his grandson now. And I studied many, many years ago. So iridology is actually looking at the colored part of your eye, your iris, and it's sort of like a map to your health and what is going on with your body. So you can actually look at different parts of the iris and have an understanding of perhaps your weaknesses and your strengths, of what is actually going on in your body. So, you know, if I were to look in someone's eye and I could see that perhaps there's a weakness over the lung area, you know, and they're smokers, I would say, oh, you know, you really got to stop that smoking because you already have this weakness in your lungs and you're just going to put more, you know, emphasis on, you know, with the smoking and it's really not going to work out well for you at the end of the day. So I do really like it. Unfortunately, I don't have all the equipment to really do it and study it, but you know, I believe that windows are the soul to seeing on the inside.
Exactly.
Eyes don't lie.
When I was about 24, 25, I met with one of my two friends, homeopathic practitioners at MD, and one of them said, Carlos, let me look at your eyes. Let me see if you have something wrong. And he was looking, and after a while he says, Carlos, you have your organs very, very clean. I said, I've been fasting for 2 days. I didn't tell him anything. So that day I knew that what he was doing was really, really profound. He could see how clean were my organs. That was fantastic. So I really liked that kind of practice. You mentioned Bach flowers. I don't know anything about that. Please, tell us, what is that?
Bach flowers. So he was English. So in England they call him Edward Batch and not Edward Bach, as they do over here. Right. He was actually a pharmacist and he was a homeopath first of all. And then he came to a place in his life where he decided, well, what if we just help someone with the emotional state of them? Would that help all the physicals clear up and go away? So I could show you, but I have a postcard of his house, it's just behind you, where he grew most of the flowers, the flower essences, where they come. And today they still come from that same place.
What?
Because now it's kind of, it's the place where all the flowers still come from today, for the Bach flowers anyway. And there's 38 flower essences. So he, at some point in his career, he just decided, you know what, I think if we just help people on the on the emotional and mental level, it's going to help all these physicals clear up and go away. So sometimes I like to use them along with homeopathy. It's kind of like an extra hand holding.
Wow.
To help someone through an emotional place in their life. Maybe they're getting on a plane and they're really fearful of planes, you know, or perhaps they're going through a hard time in their life and they need some extra support, you know. So I will often make up different flower essences for my patients as well. So I do use that in my practice.
Well, this is fantastic because one of the reasons of this summit is to make the connection of emotional trauma, chronic negative emotions with our health. There is a very close relation that most of people don't understand. So Bach flowers is the way to go, or at least to explore that.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you can do it yourself in the stores. You can buy the little pamphlets and sort of answer questionnaires. Although they get to be a little bit pricey in the store, you know, if you're going to put 5 or 6 blends together. Yeah.
Let's see if I can make one for me. Avghi, this was fantastic. I love the conversation that we had. And if you could tell if there is anything else you want to tell, or tell a person who is going through some kind of a physical challenge, some word of hope or anything else you want to add.
I think a couple of things that I would think of. One is doing the nutrition and putting in liquids in your body. I think that finding your right healthcare team for you and what that works. I have seen so many profound things happen through homeopathy. It still blows my mind today. Even though I've been in practice for 20 years, I am still so surprised and amazed at how sometimes quickly remedies can work and how they act on people, helping them with their physical state as well as their emotional and mental state. Some of my patients call the remedies the miracle pills, and sometimes I think of them that way too, because I'm blown away how much healing someone can do with a homeopathic remedy. It still blows my mind today. So finding your right healthcare team, and if you don't like someone, just move on to the next. Make sure that you're supported in the way that you want to be supported, because it's all about you, and you're the one that needs to make the decisions, not anybody else.
Thank you very much, Avghi. That was very enlightening, and this is another what I call a health practitioner of this century that incorporates all these new relative. They are not new, but they are not very well known. Thank you so much. Give me a hug.
You're welcome.
Heart to heart. Thank you so much.